There's something captivating about a player leaving his all on the court and not giving up despite an injury or other physical challenge. It fits their role as superheroes. All of us, as fans, believe that if we were in the same position, we would do the same, particularly in the postseason when a deep run or even a ring is at stake. Every team needs guys who would give their blood, sweat and tears to contribute to a win. So let's take a look at some of the most heroic performances in NBA postseason history. What up everybody, my name is Stefan and this is Heat Check. Let's get into it. Starting off with perhaps the most famous heroic performance is Game 7 of the 1970 NBA Finals between the Knicks and the Lakers. At the Garden, almost everyone thinks Willis Reed won't play because he had suffered a torn thigh muscle in Game 5 and sat out Game 6. But Reed had other plans. I didn't want to have to look at myself in the mirror 20 years later and say I wish I had tried to play, Reed later recalled thinking. So after painkiller injections in his thigh, he limped to the court during warmups. His presence electrified both his team and the crowd, whereas the shocked Lakers stopped warming up to stare at the injured Knick. Teammate Walt Fraizer believes that this gave the Knicks confidence that they have the Lakers already beaten. Though Reed had only 4 points and 3 rebounds in 27 minutes, the Garden was rocking. Also, good defense by him resulted in multiple misses by Wilt Chamberlain, and in the end, the Knicks prevailed, winning the title. One of the reasons why the answer remains to this day a well-respected figure among fans and former and current players alike is because he was never one to back down. Possibly the best example of that is Game 4 of the 2001 Eastern Conference Finals against the Bucks, when he literally swallowed blood just to stay in the game. In the fourth quarter, Iverson got elbowed in the mouth inadvertently by Ray Allen. But of course, he continued. I didn't think the refs were going to let me back in the game because I was spitting up so much blood. I was trying to stop the bleeding, but it wouldn't stop, so I kept my mouth closed and swallowed the blood when it filled up, the answer said. Though Iverson finished 10 for 32 from the field for 28 points, he did enough in the final period to render his early shooting woes insignificant in a Sixers victory. When Steve Nash and Tony Parker collided heads late in the fourth quarter of Game 1 of the 2007 Western Conference semifinals, the Canadian cut his nose open. However, he checked back into the game to score a big three-pointer and a layup to bring his team within 2 points with 1 minute to play. Unfortunately, however, he started bleeding on the court and therefore had to head to the bench until the bleeding stopped. The Spurs used the period without Nash to win the game. Still, the desire and decisiveness to keep trying to get on the court are admirable. 3 years later, once again in the semifinals against the Spurs, Nash's face collided with Tim Duncan's elbow in Game 4. The point guard found blood on his face yet again. He left for the locker room with his team up 7, 64-57. However, when he returned to the game with several stitches and a severely swollen right eye, the Spurs had made it a 1-point contest. So what did Nash do? He hit a pull-up three-pointer, a contested leaner plus the foul. That was followed by another push shot in the lane. 2 consecutive assists for Amari Stoudemire jumpers came next. Ultimately, Nash either scored or assisted on 21 of the Suns' 35 fourth quarter points in this performance for the ages. More importantly, this time the Suns won the game, completing a sweep. Nash later admitted that he couldn't see anything out of his right eye. The 2011 Eastern Conference semifinals was a heated battle between the Heat and the Celtics. The animosity between the two teams is well known and confirmed from everyone on both sides. So in Game 3, a scramble for a loose ball left Rondo twisting in pain on the floor. You can imagine Celtics Nation's reaction when they found out the point guard had dislocated his elbow. Rondo was first carried back to the locker room for a relocation, but then, to everyone's disbelief, he miraculously returned to finish the game. In an improbable turn of events, he played out the rest of the game essentially one-handed and using his own adrenaline, finishing with 6 points and 11 assists. Rajon even played tough defense and dove on the court in a few situations while still trying to protect that injured arm. Riding off of that momentum, the Celtics were able to finish the game off and get the victory. My adrenaline was too high. I fed off the crowd energy, Rondo said after the Celtics win. There's a reason why many fans believe the league was tougher back in the 80s. It's players like Kevin McHale that show that there's at least some truth to that. The Celtics power forward injured his foot in March of '87. It turned out he had a fracture, but his will to win was so strong that he ignored the advice of doctors and even teammate Larry Bird. All that while trying to help his team repeat. The effects of the broken foot on him are still present. His limp is so pronounced to this day. Bird said, "If you watch him walk, you know he laid it out on the line." And McHale himself commented, "For so long I played on it, so I thought I'm just going to keep trying to play and hopefully I can help the team win, and you know, if I'm not playing well, just take me out." If that's not a testament to his spirit, I don't know what is. Almost everyone in Boston believes that if McHale hadn't been injured, the Celtics wouldn't have lost to the Lakers in the 1987 NBA Finals. As we found out last year, at least according to Michael Jordan and his trainer Tim Grover, MJ's flu game in 1997 was actually the pizza game.
It really wasn't a flu game, it was food poisoning. I wake up about 2:30, throwing up left and right.
There is still some debate whether it's definitive that Michael had food poisoning, but the fact remains. In Game 5 of that year's finals against the Jazz, Jordan sure didn't look like himself from an energy standpoint. Groggy with his head down on the bench, at times looking like he would pass out at any moment. Yet, if you take a look at only the box score, you would think otherwise. Why? Because MJ scored 38 in addition to grabbing 7 rebounds and dishing out 5 assists. Should we even mention that he had 16 in the fourth, including the key basket, a three-pointer to put his team up by 3 with 25 seconds to go. And of course, the iconic image of Scottie Pippen helping him out as the GOAT literally left it out on the court for the win. It's games like these that put the legend of Michael Jordan where it is to this day. 1 year later, the Bulls were once again in Salt Lake for the finals. This time, it was Pippen who played while being way under 100%. Aggravating a back injury at the start of Game 6, the forward tried to play. However, the situation was so serious he had to leave for treatment. Pippen said, "I'm telling MJ I can't go no more. Like, dude, I'm done." But in a heroic effort, he stayed strong to play out the entire game, visibly in so much pain that it affected the way he was running and moving on the court. So, in his words, he was a decoy that whole game, but the Jazz didn't know it. All of it was well worth it at the end, as Scottie celebrated his 6th championship with Chicago, capping off a historic run of 2 three-peats with his buddy Michael Jordan. The 2011 finals started badly for the Mavs, who lost Game 1 to the Heat, but things actually got worse. Nowitzki suffered a torn tendon in his left middle finger when he was called for a foul in the fourth quarter. Yet, he made no excuses, playing great in Dallas's Game 2 victory. In Game 4, however, the Mavs faced the possibility of going down 3-1. It sure looked like that would be the case because Dirk now had the fever. Mavs fans had to have felt afraid when it was reported that Nowitzki was playing Game 4 with a fever perhaps as high as 102 degrees. LeBron James and Dwayne Wade didn't believe that, so they mocked him in a now infamous video.
Oh, did y'all hear me cough? Think I'm sick.
Think of the video of Wade and LeBron coughing. Dwayne said that that was a real cough, by the way.
Well, I just thought it was a little childish, a little ignorant. You know, I've been in this league for 13 years. I never faked an injury or an illness before.
This may have added extra motivation for Nowitzki, who scored 21 points, including this tough layup with 14.5 seconds to put his team up by 3. Oh, and he grabbed 11 boards. This presence and attitude of his is often credited as among the key examples of the spirit and resolve of that Mavs group, which of course ultimately won the title. The Bad Boys Pistons perhaps don't get a lot of love historically, yet everyone's got to admit that they always left their all when they played. Look no further than Isaiah Thomas's Game 6 performance in the 1988 finals against the Lakers. At the Forum, Zeke rolled his right ankle while assisting on a Joe Dumars basket. He had scored 14 points in the third quarter. Though he briefly left the game, being that hot, he knew he had to get back and try to help his team. Thomas returned and scored 11 of Detroit's last 15 points in the quarter. All of that while limping and basically playing on one leg. The 25 points in the quarter are an NBA Finals record. Thomas finished with 43 points, 8 assists, and 6 steals for the game. Incredible. Unfortunately, the Pistons, up 3-2, lost that contest as well as Game 7 in Los Angeles. Regardless, Thomas's performance is crazy even when you watch it today. Undergoing a meniscus surgery, that's a serious thing, and you're not supposed to miss just 8 days, right? Wrong if you ask Brandon Roy. In Game 4 of the first round against the Suns in 2010, Blazers fans couldn't believe their eyes as Roy checked in at the end of the first quarter. The entire arena went crazy and the whole team fed off of that. Roy immediately made his presence felt, scoring 4 points until the end of the period. Despite finishing the game with just 10 points, his contribution was at a different level. Blazers coach Nate McMillan said, "I thought he lifted our team tonight. I know our players felt the emotion and the energy in the building." Sure enough, the Blazers won the game to tie the series at 2-2. So there you have it. These performances are so gutsy and heroic that we still remember them to this day and we're still in awe. Let me know in the comments if you remember all of these and which one is your favorite. That's it for now. Subscribe and talk to you in the next one. Peace out. Oh my god, unlucky bounce. That was not heroic at all. Peace.